Good morning, Leah Goujon here. So it's been a week, so I just wanted to do a follow up on where we're at with my property that I have purchased in the Dominican Republic. The last time we chatted, I was just about to start digging the trenches to build the barrier wall around the outside of the property when we found out there was an issue with one of the property lines. I had the surveyor come back in and redelineate sort of one corner mostly. It had just lost its lines because we had some trees come down and the markers disappeared. But when he did, it sort of came to our attention that the neighboring piece of land, who had already built their surrounding wall and nothing else yet, seemed to have built 1.3 meters too far into the adjoining street, which meant that the street was now too close to my property by 1.3 meters. So the developer of the entire property, who obviously was the person to set all of the GPS locations to begin with, and that's what we all have title registered against, sent his original survey to mark these lines, and yes, this guy is 1.3 meters off. So I guess it's a couple out of Florida who aren't here. So they've hired an independent surveyor who's gone out and marked the lines according to his machine, because the GPS location marker, the GPS locations can't change. So the only way a GPS location is different between two people is their machines. So now it's a matter of, okay, whose machine is correct, because their surveyor is saying, oh no, the fence is in the correct place. So really it's an issue between the developer and them because they've infringed on the road. The problem is that if I go ahead and take the markers from my developer's surveyor and go ahead and build my wall, I would literally be building a wall in the middle of the road. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the long, it's a long rectangle, and start with the long part. It's probably going to take a little while to sort that out. I'm like weeks, not much longer than that. But in the meantime, what I decided I would do was start to research the cost of building materials. When I first started this venture of buying land and building, it was 2019. By the time I found my property and put an offer in and, knew what I was going to be paying for it, it was 2020. By the time I got my title and paid my last price, it was 2021. So now 2022, I am ready to build. So just for example, this perimeter wall that we're building, it's concrete block wall. So the materials required is going to be obviously the block, the rebar, and cement. And then you've got cap plates on top, and then parging and painting on the outside. So the largest expense is going to be the actual block. I'm going to have 2 rows of block underneath the ground for a foundation. Those will be 8-inch blocks, and then the blocks above ground will be 7 feet high, and they'll be 6-inch blocks. Here you can buy 2 different kinds of block, a regular block and then what they call an industrial block. Obviously the industrial block is stronger and more expensive. So just to give you an example, in 2019, an 8-inch block, just the regular one, not the industrial one, was 32 pesos. That same block today, the cheapest one that I could find was 49.56 pesos. That's a 65% price increase since 2019. So in the last 3 years, 2.5 years. Bag of cement back in 2019 was 256 pesos. Today, that same bag is 400 pesos. And again, a 66% increase. So from the time that I first decided, okay, I'm going to buy a piece of property and I'm going to build on it, till now, the building materials, the majority of the building materials that I'm going to be using have literally gone up by 65%, which is massive. So because of that, my plans have changed. I mean, originally my plans looked more like a miniature village. Now they're just 2 buildings, so, which is fine. I mean, for me, it is what it is. And Things like that I don't look at as being, okay, this is horrific and, 65% increase, I'm just not going to build. I'm just going to adjust, and I'll have to build my village through the future. So for me, it's neither here nor there. We just adjust with the economy and with what's going on with our environment, what's going on around us. When we try and live a life where we're fighting what's going on around us, it makes life very difficult and not so much fun. So I prefer to just join them rather than fight them. So anyway, I went out to the Ferreterias, which is like a lumber type large material store, and get quotes. So quotes here are usually handwritten. They'll have a date on the top, and usually then they're stamped by the name of the store and the phone numbers, and then you'll usually get like personal phone numbers of whoever you were talking to. And it really didn't matter where I went. All the quotes were the same, which is fine. And the quotes are usually good for like 30 days or 60 days. So the other thing is that one of the things that I was hoping that they would do at the Ferreteria is I went online, plus I did a calculation. Obviously, it's not hard to figure out what size wall you want, how high you want it, how long the wall is going to be, what size the blocks are, and then it's just a mathematical calculation to figure out how many blocks you're going to need to build that square meterage of wall. So I did that calculation, and I figured out how many 8-inch blocks I would need for the 2 rows in the bottom and how many 6-inch blocks I would need for the 7 feet above. So I was curious, obviously just to know that my calculations were correct, and I was kind of hoping that they would have some sort of program at the Ferreteria where they could sort of do a quote and do the calculation for the materials. But yeah, that was kind of high hopes. As soon as I saw that I was getting handwritten quotes, I knew that that wasn't going to happen, but that's okay. I'm pretty confident in my calculations. So that's where we are right now. I'm probably going to go ahead and so the materials that I need will be for an 8 to 10 week project. I've had several people tell me that that's approximately how long it's going to take to do this project, so I'm pretty confident of the time frame. And I'm not going to have all the materials dropped at once. I'll have them dropped every couple of weeks. That way it's easier to keep track of the materials. It's easier to keep track of what's being used and making sure that it's not walking off the property. So that's the one thing that I'm going to do, is just now sit down with all my quotes, figure out who exactly I'm going to use, and then go in and set up a schedule of deliveries for the next 8 to 10 weeks. So as soon as I have more information on this crazy lot line business, I will get back to you guys. And as soon as we start digging the trench, I'll also give you guys a heads up and let you know how that goes. Anyway, have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.